Hey everybody, I am going live. I am going to welcome Zen to us in a couple seconds, and we are going to have a video about animal communication. So, if you join us today, thank you so much for your presence. Let's see, let me actually invite Zen, that would be helpful, right? How do I do this? Still getting used to this, so thank you. Oh, hey!
Okay, there it goes.
Hey!
There it is.
How's it
Hello.
going?
It's going.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I'm still getting used to this whole thing and like my setup and the whole vibe, you know what I mean?
Me too. This is my closet door.
Okay, I hear you. Um, so thank you so much for your presence today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. This is great.
Do you want to start out by introducing yourself and telling us like what you do?
Sure. Um, I'm Zen or Zena, and I'm a shaman or a psychic medium, whichever folks prefer. I guess the specific offerings are sound healing and Reiki, tarot cards, birth charts. But I often encourage people if they're just feeling like they have something. Sometimes you just kind of feel like you need to connect with someone and maybe not even know what the exact question is. And spirit can absolutely guide from there.
Awesome. That's so
Mhm.
cool. Thank you so much for sharing. How did you get into this work?
Um, it's one of those things where it got into me. Like it was something that was in me and took me a little while to lean all the way into it. I was into astrology when I was a kid and it just kind of spiraled from there and picking up tarot cards from there was kind of easy. And with the animals, I honestly realized they were communicating with me. And again, it just you discover these things about yourself and you just lean into it.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that saying lean into it. Yeah, my first question was how long have you been practicing animal communication? And so you mentioned you realized at a young age that they were communicating to you. Can you like talk a little bit about that?
It's interesting because, well, I guess it's more officially been about 3 years or so. Um, it's interesting because I never had a pet. I was one of those kids that I always wanted a pet, and the parents wouldn't get me one. And so, your friends have pets and neighbors have pets, and the animals just always managed to be animals around me, and I always had this special connection with them. And um, um, about 3 years ago or so, someone's cat someone's cat gave me two dreams. And long story short, I helped that cat out, and then kind of word of mouth just spreads on its own from there, and I became an animal communicator.
That's pretty cool. So do you see do people reach out to you for animal communication type stuff? And like what kind of calls do you usually get if someone's hitting you up for that service?
Usually, it's I would say it's really good for because I know like vets and things are extremely expensive, and if you're just noticing like abnormal behavior in the cat, and people have hit me up for this what seems like a small thing, like my cat keeps peeing in my bed. Why do they keep doing that? Or um, and it's just a matter of asking them. um, Sometimes they like to call before vet appointments. Just kind of giving them a heads up and helping them feel prepared. Um, and I would honestly say that it's the lost animals are the toughest because um, sometimes they just left. Those are hard. Those I don't guarantee to find a lost pet because um, there's life. We have our path, and sometimes we can't control that path. And yeah, but it varies. Literally, could be anything.
Yes, absolutely. I've been kind of involved in getting information about a lost dog. And it was the first time that I had ever done something like that. So I was kind of telling the dog's person, like, hey, you're gonna have to work with me. Like, I'm gonna tell you the sensations, the kind of feelings that I'm getting, but based on what you know about them and your area,
Mhm.
we're gonna have to work together. And so I ended up seeing like lots of different colors and things, and they ended up finding him. Unfortunately, he had passed on, but they found him at like a place where there was a buildings with lots of colors and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not like they can say I'm on this street exactly. I'm in this house exactly. Like you can only connect with the sensations and images they might give you.
Word. Do you know of a time that you might be able to share with us where you connected with a wild animal, like not a domesticated animal?
It's yeah, it's interesting. Because I live in New York City. I live in Brooklyn, and you don't really think of Brooklyn as a place where you would find exotic animals, but they find me. I definitely saw the really red one, the cardinals. The cardinals pop up. I feel like when something interesting is going to happen in my life. I remember about 2 years ago, I was sitting on my terrace and a raccoon. No, not the raccoon. The raccoon, the one that had the dark eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just walked up on me on my terrace and just sat. So it's interesting, the wildlife that we have here in New York that kind of stays hidden and pops out when they want to be seen.
Yes, that's so cool, especially in the city when you encounter like exotic animals, as you were saying.
Yeah, it's like hawks. It's like, I mean, they're here. New York is a really big state. You just don't always imagine them in the city.
Absolutely. Why do you feel like communicating with animals is important?
Well, they're definitely communicating with us. I think a lot of times, as human beings, humans, we want what we want, and we oftentimes are forcing ourselves on them when we could actually work with them. It's like I'm just going to build this building here and tear down your home. It's like, did you have to? um, and they recognize that we're here and they're wanting to work with us. They're working around us all the time. And so it's like, what? Why not? And then there are also, when we have animals in our own lives, they're there for a reason, and a lot of times they know they're there for a reason. So like, connect with that.
Yeah, what's interesting is like I'm vegan and I'm like kind of I'm not in favor of like killing anything really. But I did a reading one time about a goat or for a goat in a family in Hawaii. And I don't remember at this point because it's been so long if the goat had ended up passing away or if they were still alive when I did this reading. But they were telling me that they felt like their whole entire life purpose was to be there for that family and to like give the milk and give its offering, its body, its life. And I thought that was fascinating, because there's just such strong feelings when it comes to giving animals the right to live their own destiny. I thought it was so crazy that they were willing to offer themselves up to this family.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do feel like that they know that that's their relationship with us. It's like I am generally vegan as well, although I'm honestly not against um, eating animals. I'm more so against the treatment because I do feel like there's this kind of understanding, um, that those that know that they're there for us, even in that way,
Yeah,
a little love and respect doesn't hurt if you're
it
going to eat
definitely
the. um,
it goes a
but
long way.
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, like, willing sacrifice even.
Yes, that's why I really think at the end of the day, I always advocate, like follow what you own, your own truth. Like
Mhm.
tune in to what your truth is and follow your spirit's guidance, follow your body, and do your own thing, you know, question authority. Don't be vegan because everyone is vegan. Don't be non-vegan because everyone's non-vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of really feel into what is right for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's getting out of our head and listening to the body. The body tells you what it needs.
And things
And,
change. People change. That's
oh,
the
for
whole
sure.
part of life.
My diet's changed. I'm in my 30s, so my diet's changed several times over. There were times where I felt like I needed to be 1,000% vegan, and um, then it was like, okay, we're eating fish now.
Yeah.
And our, there's spirit, then there's our ancestral connection to certain diets. I've come to realize, and so sometimes we're just honoring that.
Absolutely. Totally. Thank you for sharing so far everything you've shared. I have one last question to kind of get us off here, and
Sure.
it's, are there any techniques that you might be able to share with us so we could start to communicate with animals?
Technique, for one, trust. Starting off with trusting your own intuition. Like every person has an intuition, and your intuition will often guide. And I find a lot of people who are asking for help, they'll say something like, "Oh, I noticed, yeah, my cat was acting interesting, and then I started doing this." So it's like they instinctually started doing the exact thing that they were supposed to do, but they're still calling me because they're, I guess, questioning that.
Mm-hmm.
And because the animal is communicating with you, even if you don't realize it. So if your gut's telling you to change this diet or change this bowl, like that is the beginning of communicating, that you heard them, and you're responding to something that they said, and the more you respond, the more you strengthen that connection.
Cool. Do you
That
so trust in? Yeah, I dig that because
I hope
it's
that
like
answers it.
what?
I hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, trust is
Cool.
like so huge when it comes to any kind of psychic communication. So I like that because if the cat or any animal's telling you something and you just write it off, you know, that's where, like you're saying, the animals are communicating with us, but we're not listening because we're writing it off. But when we trust, then we're entering the realms of animal communication.
Yeah, and recognizing that they can communicate, that it is happening. Like they will do it. It's just that the writing off sometimes is just not even believing that it's possible. It's like,
Yes.
how can I talk to you if you don't believe that I can talk?
Totally. And I think this is like the very beginning to, you know, co-creating with animals at large, kind of how you were saying about how we just put up buildings and we kind of want what we want and we don't really even consider animals. But if we start to communicate with our domestic animals and then branch out into animals that come visit us, like you were saying about the raccoon and the
Yeah.
cardinals, maybe one day we could actually figure out a way to co-create 100% so we're not just bulldozing all over their lands, but we can have a win-win situation where we can live together, you know.
Yeah, and I do feel like they have this, I guess, special connection with nature. So like they're not imposing for their own needs. They actually understand balance. So they're actually also even guiding us in balancing ourselves by balancing with them, which is good for us.
Yes.
It's like they're
All
good
of,
for us.
yes, absolutely. I've been trying to figure out a little bit of my own deep shadow work and stuff by deconstructing why I'm allergic to cats because I think they're so cute and I love them so much, but I feel like they are put in my path so that way I could do some deep discovery about myself, you know, and it's not that easy all the time, but one step at a time.
Yeah, that is interesting. If you like cats in there, is it? Have you considered it being like a past life type relationship? Maybe you didn't have a great relationship with cats at one point.
See, that's like really cool, and I'm definitely going to consider that starting now. So far what I've encountered, it's like it goes back to the womb and like my
Oh,
conception and stuff, and just like
interesting.
deep stuff in regards to that I'm just like mind blown, you know? So I'm like, okay, wow, now that I know, what am I going to do about it? Kind of thing, to start integrating the knowledge that I kind of been given,
Man,
you know?
that's beautiful. It's like it's I guess that's part of their guidance of you. Because like
Yes.
this course is also guidance. So now it kind of makes you dig. If there wasn't that thing, you might not have thought to do that digging.
Yeah, because it's so in your face, you know, like I can't breathe. So it's like I can't run away from it. I can try, and I have tried with like
Hmm.
allergy medicine and stuff, but after a while, you can't run anymore.
Now you can't run. Well, that's interesting. That's definitely something I'm going to be thinking about. Um, the allergies. 'Cause I often am kind of feel kind of like interesting that it's kind. I think it's kind of interesting that we would be allergic to anything in nature. So I'm kind of wondering if that has a connection to our disconnect.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where I'm finding too, you know, and that's why I called it shadow work, because it's just like so far deep in there, and it's not the pretty work that we kind of look forward to, really, because it's so intense.
Yeah, you start to like it after a while, but
Hmm.
as you're uncovering, and it's like, wow, okay, this is not so scary. This is not so bad. I actually kind of like this.
Yeah, one step at a time. I think I'm on like step one and a half.
But it's good. Awareness is everything.
True that.
Hmm.
So, I guess that's it. I kind of wanted to tell us another story, but maybe we could just do this again, you know? Can you tell us again, like where we can find you, so that way, if anyone wants to hire you for animal communication, Reiki, tarot readings, astrology, where can they hit you up for that?
Well, right here on Instagram is probably the best thing since, you know, we're talking on Instagram right now. And I'm tagged in that thing. I'm tagged in your advertising. So, yeah, it's totally public. Totally DM me. I'm totally approachable. You can just say hi, and if you don't know what to ask right now, and I welcome pictures of people's pets.
Cool. Just
Yeah,
to see the
I have plenty of
cuteness.
time. I have plenty of time if you wanted another story. I don't know what story I would tell,
Okay, yeah, well, let's just go into the story then. Thanks for being fluid. But so the first thing that taught me about you know, the shadow work, or led me into the shadow work that we were talking about, was like allergies with cats. But like another one that was super huge on my journey was when I was a child, I was really and randomly afraid of orca whales. I
but
mean, I
wow,
live in Arizona, and I was born and
right.
raised in Arizona, so there's like no whales anywhere around me. But I was just really afraid, and I remember even like going to SeaWorld. I don't condone SeaWorld. My parents took me there. No, anyways, but I went to SeaWorld when I was young, and I was just like so scared of even the giant replicas of the whale, and I was getting the heebie-jeebies. And I remember going swimming
Wow.
after freaking watching Free Willy, and just like not even being able to like swim comfortably. And so it was weighing on me all hardcore. And then this was like far back in the day, and my asthma flared up a lot. I mean, to the point where it was like a life or death situation. I couldn't breathe at all. And then all of a sudden, I had this dream where I fell into a orca whale tank, and the orca came up to me, and he or she had puppy energy. So it was like cute, this giant, really cute, friendly energy, and they got me and they took me up to the top, so pretty much like saved my life. So after that dream, when I had the kind of energy of them being cute instead of scary, I
Yeah.
started being willing to look at into what they're trying to tell me. And so I figured a couple things. One of the things that they taught me was breathing exercises for my asthma. And
Hmm.
so, like, to take a really deep breath and imagine like I was going to go underwater for a really long time, and
Hmm.
then blow it out, like if I had a blowhole.
Hmm.
And so that was one thing. And then the biggest thing was, back in the day, I've always been playing guitar since I was a kid, but I never embraced singing. I was really embarrassed.
Wow.
And orcas sing, they sing to
Yeah.
their families and they sing through the water. And so I felt like through just meditation and kind of communicating with the spirit of orca that they wanted me to embrace singing.
Wow.
And so I started singing, and
Wow.
through a lot of other spiritual work too, my
Yeah.
asthma pretty much got 100% cured for many, many years.
Awesome.
And now I have the orca whale tattoo on me, so it's really great.
Man, now that is a good story. I don't know if I have one just as good. I was feeling that when you were saying it, and I'm kind of not surprised that the story ended that way. You have a lot of cause you have a cause we connected on Instagram, and I could feel you have a very old soul, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that dream was kind of like a memory. Like
Yes.
you've had a lot of interesting experiences with animals. I can feel it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's
Oh
crazy
my
because,
man.
like, I guess whales in general represent the universal record keeper because they're very ancient animals and they've been around to see so many different things. So they just keep record of everything and then sing about it. And
Wow.
so that's what they wanted me to do, I guess, based on my soul, is like if I have any records from past lives or whatever, anything that I've seen,
Hmm.
feel free to sing about that.
Wow. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm gonna actually like kind of receive that as my own message, and that might be something I needed to
Cool.
hear. Like I'm not really a singer per se, but I've been feeling inclined to just sing
Yes. Let that voice be heard for sure.
and get the stories out. You know.
Yes. Totally. Well, I look forward to hearing you sing then.
I know I probably will. That's the fun thing about Instagram. You can just play with that platform and
Yes.
share with your friends.
Cool. So everyone follow Zen because now they're going to add singing to their list of awesome offerings.
Oh man, awesome! This is so fun.
Yay. So then let's do it again sometime and maybe we'll talk astrology or something else next time.
Yeah, any of that. That'll be fun.
Cool.
You're great. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
You are too, and I appreciate your presence so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, everybody
see
who
you,
is
see you soon.
watching.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
You
Take
too.
care.